At the beginning of the film, we meet Papillon, a clever thief who works for the mafia, stealing jewelry and money from the richest people to give to his boss in exchange for large sums of money. One night, after stealing some valuable jewelry, Papillon goes to his boss and gives it to him. Suspicious, his boss asks him if he kept any jewelry for himself, to which Papillon assures him that he did not. His boss congratulates him and then takes him to a room where a man is being tortured, saying that anyone who dares to lie to him will end up like him. Papillon is clearly frightened, but he takes his payment and goes outside to meet his girlfriend, Ninette. After greeting her, the man shows her a valuable necklace and some diamonds that he hid from his boss, and gives them to her as a gift, saying that they are now hers. The two leave, but at that moment one of the gangsters comes outside and sees them with the necklace, discovering that Papillon had lied to them and stolen from them. The couple have fun and spend the night together, and the next morning they wake up and talk about their future, when someone soon knocks on the door. When they open it, police officers burst into the room, saying he is under arrest for the death of Roland, the man his boss was torturing the night before. Papillon says there must be some confusion, assuring them that he spent the night with his girlfriend, but the police take him away and lock him up in prison. The next day, Ninette comes to see him. She can't believe he was given life imprisonment and says he has to appeal, but Papillon reminds her that he was set up, so it's impossible for him to be released. When the girl leaves, the inmate next door, named Juliet, says they have to organize an escape, and for that they will need a lot of money. Later, while they are undergoing a medical examination, Juliet reveals to Papillon that the man with the glasses, Luis Degas, is a multimillionaire who was imprisoned for smuggling, and it is rumored that he has a lot of money hidden in a capsule inside his intestines. When they are finished, the prisoners are taken to a ship, and an officer tells them that they are no longer French citizens and must serve their sentences in a prison in French Guiana. After boarding the ship, Papillon approaches Degas and offers to be his bodyguard in exchange for money, but the millionaire says he doesn't need anyone to defend him. During the night, Degas suddenly wakes up and sees his companion being brutally murdered, just to steal the capsule with money that he also had in his intestines. Degas is horrified, so the next morning he goes to talk to Papillon and agrees to pay him for protection until they reach French Guiana. That night, while everyone is asleep, a man approaches Degas to kill him and steal his money, but Papillon jumps in to defend him and starts beating him up. The guards are alerted and stop the fight, and shortly after, the ship finally arrives in French Guiana. Upon disembarking on the island, everyone walks in single file, and Juliet comes up with a brilliant idea to try to escape, intentionally injuring himself to be taken to the infirmary, where there is less surveillance. After a long walk, the inmates finally arrive at the colony where they will serve their sentences. The place is heavily guarded, and the prisoners will have a miserable life as a result of their crimes. Upon entering, they are all gathered in the main courtyard, where the warden speaks to them and reviews the rules. The man assures them that escaping from prison is impossible, and those who try will be locked up in solitary confinement for 2 years. If they try a second time, they will spend 3 years in solitary confinement. And if they still try to escape again, they will be sent to Devil's Island. In addition, the warden reveals that anyone who commits murder will be sent to the guillotine and executed in public in front of everyone. After assigning them a common room that they share with dozens of prisoners, they are quickly sent to work, forcing them to carry stones and heavy carts for long distances. That day, they meet an inhabitant of the island and discover that the man has a boat. Without anyone knowing, Papillon offers him a large amount of money if he helps him escape in the boat, to which the man agrees, saying he will wait for them on the coast tomorrow night. Back in prison, a man finds out about the money Degas is hiding in his intestines and tries to attack him, but Papillon quickly arrives and takes care of him. Seeing this, Degas realizes that he won't last long away from Papillon, so he joins him in his escape plan, offering him a lot of money. The next day, the warden gathers everyone in the square and says that a man will be executed. It turns out to be Juliet, who killed 2 guards while trying to escape from prison, and without much ado, he is beheaded. The warden orders Degas and Papillon to dispose of the body, but as they carry it to the burial site, Degas collapses. The man is not used to so much physical exertion and mental stress, and when he refuses to obey the guards, one of them begins to beat him with a whip. Papillon sees everything, and in a fit of rage, he picks up a rock and hits the guard on the head, taking advantage of the situation to run away, while Degas remains motionless, frozen in panic. At nightfall, Papillon goes to the man with the boat and asks him to get him out of there, but it turns out that the guy works for the prison undercover, betraying everyone who tries to escape. The guards take Papillon back to prison, and upon receiving him, the warden says he was lucky. The officer he hit with the rock managed to survive, so Papillon will not be executed. For attempting to escape, his punishment will be to spend the next 2 years in solitary confinement, and upon entering his new cell, he discovers that it is a tiny place, designed to drive any human being crazy. Talking or making any noise is prohibited, and even the food is scarce and of very poor quality. Several days pass, until one morning Papillon is surprised to receive half a coconut, along with a note saying that he will receive a piece every day. Papillon knows that Degas is behind this, and he enjoys the extra ration for several months, until one day the warden realizes what is going on and kills the guard who was smuggling him food. The warden enters the cell angrily and demands to know who is behind it all, but Papillon reveals nothing, so the warden, furious, orders that his daily soup ration be cut in half. Several weeks pass, and we see Papillon very thin and weak from lack of food. The warden again goes to rebuke him to find out who was sending him food, but the man remains silent, and as punishment, he orders the only source of natural light in the entire cell to be covered. The lack of sunlight, coupled with the extreme silence of the place, drove Papillon mad, and after serving his sentence of confinement, the guards took the man back to prison, admitting him to the infirmary until he regained his sanity. At the same time, we see that Degas has gradually gained the warden's trust and now has an administrative job in the prison. Degas has access to the infirmary, and after learning that Papillon is there, he goes to see him, discovering that the man is only pretending to be crazy so that no one will watch him and he can escape. Knowing this, the two begin to think about their escape plan, and soon after, they recruit 2 other prisoners to help them. One of them is Cellier, a strong man with contacts outside the prison, and the other is Marguerite, a weak but very intelligent young man who is in the infirmary and knows how to distract the guard. The next morning, Degas gives all his money to Cellier, asking him to use his contacts to buy a boat. The night of the escape arrives, and they plan to take advantage of the moment when most of the guards are gathered in the square watching a movie to escape. The movie finally begins, and Degas is tasked with serving drinks to the prison staff. As planned, Degas adds sleeping pills to the guards' drinks to put them to sleep and steal their keys, while Papillon and the others begin to make their move. Everything seems to be going well, until suddenly it starts to rain heavily, causing a power outage throughout the prison. The group fears that the plan will be ruined, but Degas quickly arrives and they begin their escape. After several minutes, the 4 reach the top of a wall that leads to the outside, and the only way to escape is to jump to outside. Papillon, Marguerite, and Cellier jump without much trouble, but when it is Degas' turn, the electricity returns. Worried that he will be seen, the man jumps in a hurry, breaking his leg when he hits the ground. Unable to walk, Cellier suggests leaving Degas behind, but Papillon refuses, and with Marguerite's help, they carry Degas to the boat. After climbing aboard, the 4 quickly leave the island, heading out to the open sea in the middle of the night. The next morning, they are still in the middle of the sea, and Cellier says they won't get very far with so much weight in the boat. To make matters worse, the group sees a huge storm heading their way, and Cellier, knowing that the 4 of them will not survive, begins to attack them, trying to kill them. The man tries to strangle Papillon, but Degas quickly grabs a knife and stabs him, throwing him into the water after killing him. Just a few minutes later, the huge storm looms over them, and everything suddenly goes black. Papillon wakes up in a bed and, very confused, goes outside, where a nun welcomes him. The woman explains that they were found unconscious on the coast and reveals that they are in Colombia. She also tells him that she knows where they come from and assures him that they are safe here. In the afternoon, Papillon meets Degas and says they have to leave, insisting that the place is not safe, but Degas still has a broken leg and prefers to stay until he can walk again. Marguerite also wants to stay, saying that they are given food here and the girls are pretty, so Papillon decides to leave them and go alone. However, when he reaches a road, he sees a vehicle with prison officers, so he quickly returns to Degas to warn him, but it is too late, and when they try to escape, they are captured and locked up again. 3 years later, Papillon finishes his sentence in solitary confinement and is sent straight to Devil's Island. Upon arrival, Papillon is surprised to find Degas, discovering that Degas had received the maximum sentence because, as a prison worker, he was considered a traitor. The man had spent the last few years on the island, and despite their long separation, they remained friends. Degas shows him his room and the place where they live, and then takes him to the sea, where Papillon once again begins to think about his escape. The man assumes that they could survive the fall and deduces that the sea current would take them straight to the mainland, so he asks Degas for help in building some rafts. When they finish building the rafts, the two head for the sea, but Degas says he does not want to escape. He used to live in constant worry and stress, but his stay on Devil's Island changed him, teaching him the essentials, a simple, modest life without so many problems, and he does not want to go back. After an emotional farewell, Papillon launches the raft into the sea and then jumps into the water to escape. Fortunately, the raft stays afloat, and Papillon begins to sail, guided by the ocean currents, while an emotional Daga watches him from above. Several years pass, and Papillon now lives in Venezuela. However, in 1969, the man is declared innocent and acquitted of his crimes. Upon hearing this, Papillon decides to return to France, where he plans to write a book telling his story and everything he experienced in that prison. Subscribe and turn on notifications to see more videos like this. Leave a like to help the channel out, and thank you for watching.